We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncle Hack Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to have you here. First off, before we get into the episode, upcoming stand-up dates. We have September 26th, Comox, British Columbia. September 27th, Victoria, British Columbia. October 12th, Fort St. John, British Columbia. A lot of BC dates coming up here. October 25th in Red Deer, Alberta. October 26th in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. November 1st and 2nd in Fort Worth, Texas. November 3rd in San Antonio. November 7th in Fox Creek, Alberta. November 8th in Peace River. November 9th in Grand Prairie, Alberta. November 16th in Toronto, Ontario. November 17th in Niagara Falls. November 22nd in Medicine Hat, Alberta. November 29th and 30th in Edmonton. December 13th, Thunder Bay, Ontario. December 19th, Oxnard, California. December 31st, Castlegar, British Columbia. And January 24th in Slave Lake, Alberta. Tickets available at dangercatshop.com. If you would like to support this podcast right here that you're listening to, please head on over to patreon.com/dangercat69. You can get an extra episode every week. I'll be honest, I'm a little behind. I got sick last week, so we're catching up. We're going to have some exclusive episodes up there. We're working hard, okay? We got a lot of things cooking in the background here. I know I say that quite often, quite frequently, but essentially that this podcast is a one-man operation, so it does get a little bit difficult here, okay, folks? I'm trying. I got my best foot forward. I'm Dolly Parton working 9 to 5 on this shit. With that being said, yes, your support is welcomed, but not necessary. I here, the only staff member with the Uncle Hack podcast, would appreciate it. Head on over to patreon.com/dangercat69. Links for tickets and Patreon all in the description down below. And let's get into the episode. I was a little sick last week. I was a little under the weather. Not feeling that well, right? I had one of those head colds where headaches, you're a little bit of a cold sweat going on. You know, seasons are changing, and that seems to be when most people are getting sick. A little bit of, they call it the flu season, right? And now all the fucking, the billboards are out. Get your booster, right? You gotta go get your booster. The billboards are out. The marketing is fresh. Folks, grab on to your seats. If you don't have 7 of them in you by now, lose my number. What are we doing? I thought we're collecting these things. Apparently not. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm all for do whatever you please. You know what I mean? Like during those times, I was getting irate. And I found myself in the same mindset of how deeply disturbed I was because I'd mentioned to somebody I wasn't feeling well. And their response was, "Oh, you probably have COVID." I had to stop what I was doing. I had to stop. And I looked at them and I said, "What did you say?" They're like, "Oh, you probably have COVID." And never in my life have I wanted to strangle somebody in a public setting more than that moment. It had me fuming inside. I felt like a father in the car ride home after my son had a poor athletic performance in a very crucial game. That's how I felt inside. I envisioned myself wrapping my hands around this individual's neck like I am Homer Simpson around Bart's neck. I wanted to squeeze the last words out of this person and that the "I'm sorry" right out of him. What do you mean? Oh, you mean a cold? We're talking about a cold? Don't get me going. I'm having a good day. I'm finally feeling well. Don't say silly stuff like that. I would hate to have to give you a sharpshooter in the lobby of a fucking Subway. We're waiting in line to get a goddamn, a sweet onion chicken teriyaki on Italian herbs and cheese, and I got to throw a Bret Hart sharpshooter on you just to shape you up? Come on. Use your head. What are we talking? And then, that's internally. That's how I feel. Since we want to talk about fear, that's how I believe most people feel when that word gets brought up. How many of you, I just brought up one scenario that I was in. I can only imagine the listeners of this podcast when the word COVID gets brought. How irate you want to fucking... You want to explode like you're a building in Beirut. Like you're a pager of a Hezbollah soldier. That's how, you know what I mean? You want to explode. That's how you feel. Your head feels like an Israeli pager in the hands of a Hezbollah soldier. That's the only metaphorical way we can present this to you right now. I'm doing my best. What more do you want from me? Do not come to this show and expect me to be a civil human being. You're an idiot if you do that. What are we going to have? What are we going to have? Civil discourse? I have nobody in this room to talk with me. I have nobody in this room to talk with me right now. And you're coming here to listen to the ramblings of a moron and to take it in such a serious manner. I hope to God you have an accident at work. I am having fun today. I am having fun, but I heard those. I bet you probably got COVID. And I probably bet that you're about to take your last breath. What's that? I said I'll have extra cheese on the Italian herbs and cheese, please. Oh, I thought you said something else. No, just yawning. I was yawning. Well, make sure you yawn in that direction. I don't want to get COVID. Yeah, well, I would suggest you stop looking at me before I strike you. That's just how you feel. Deep down, internally. I think I'm describing the emotions. Not too many of us really can tap into our emotions. And that's the joy of being a male in this present world. It's almost like the greatest defense mechanism that you could possibly have is to just remove yourself emotionally and just look at things that, typically would irritate you, but internalize it, have inner monologue, and move on. That is a superpower in my mind, because in a world right now, look at Canada and the United States, I find a lot of individuals are out and they really want to champion any idea that can make them shine brighter than what they actually are. And we're dealing with a lot of low wattage light bulbs right now, including myself. You go out and we got the Queers for Palestine, we got to Save the fucking Children. Nobody knows what's going on. We don't know where to align ourselves. There's so many subcultures, and I even seen Kareem Assad had posted a video that two protesters that usually protest with one another are now protesting against one another. There's all these little factions and subgroups inside of the protest culture right now that it's very hard to follow. They're trading teams. It's like pickup hockey in the schoolyard. That's what it is. It's just pickup street hockey, sticks in the middle. You go on this side, you go on that side. We're going to scream at one another. And then at about 4 p.m., once nobody's really here to listen, once people are gone back home from their day job and we don't really have ears other than ours, because we do this on a weekly basis, right? We all know each other. It's odd seeing that protesters know one another by first name. That tells you enough that this is like a leisure activity. And I don't know what to take of it. You know, like, is this just something that they do to entertain themselves? I mean, rightfully so. Have your fun, for fuck me. It's all crumbling, you know. Every other week we have a news story that comes out where you shake your head at and you don't know what to do about it, right? Like, let's get into our first one of the day. Our first one of the day is beautiful. Truly represents the current state of the nation of Canada, which I think is not only disheartening, but also hilarious at the same time, that this is in our news cycle. All right, take it over. CTV News in Kitchener.
A Simcoe woman has found herself in hot water after an incident involving a water gun. She says a neighbor called police after she accidentally sprayed him with a toy water gun. Not only did police show up, but they charged her. CTV's Jeff Pickle joining us now with more on this. And Jeff, really no laughing matter here. The woman facing a rather...
Really no laughing matter. You're right. This woman should be in prison. She should be in solitary confinement awaiting the gallows. All right? Where did she get this water gun, and why is it not on the prohibited list of weapons inside this country? Why was this man subjugated to a form of violence in his front yard because some woman decided to have a water fight? What kind of country is this? You know what I mean? If you're not upset as much as I am when you hear something like this, I need you to give your head a shake. It's deeply disturbing that knowing that women are playing games with children with water guns, and department stores are actively selling these weapons, not even in a case. Not even in... What if there was piss in that water gun? What if there was piss? What if they used water from a hose in the backyard? Because we all know what's in there. Fluoride. And what does fluoride do? Makes you dumber. And do we need that right now? No. This woman should be hung. We should be dragging her to town square and throwing rocks at her for such an egregious crime. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe that I have to talk about this. You know what I mean? This is a serious matter. You know, I know you want me to cover all the crime that's happening in Brampton, in Mississauga, in Toronto, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Regina. You know, we have mass amounts of stabbings that are taking place on LRT systems. We have sexual assault is on the rise through every major city, I may add. We have robberies at an all-time high throughout the country. And this is not as important as somebody like running around the neighborhood with a water gun, a super soaker. What if it's one of those ones with the backpack and has actually a jet stream to it? That could leave a mark. This person could be indefinitely scarred, physically and emotionally, from an incident like this. And we as Canadians need to stand together and get these water guns on a prohibited list immediately. I don't feel safe. What, am I going to walk out and I'm going to see a gang war of children taking... Pfft. Is that what I want? What's next? Are they going to sell unlicensed lemonade? Unbelievable. They're not even paying tax on that. That's tax-free money. That's a front. That's a front. What is that kid actually doing? What is he actually selling? That's why we need investigative journalism to take a deeper dive in this country. We can't just skim the surface anymore. This is a serious talk show now. I'm having a blast. I don't know about you, but I'm having a blast. Mental clarity is at a high right now. I have never been more disgusted in my life that this woman is not behind bars. Having fun. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's see what these well-respected gentlemen in the legacy media have to say.
They're serious charge.
Very.
Tony, very serious. And Wendy Washik is a 58-year-old educational assistant. She says she was playing around with some kids from the neighborhood at a backyard barbecue.
Oh,
when
my
she
God.
accidentally hit the neighbor with the water from the water gun.
Unbelievable.
Police were called, and they have laid a charge of assault with a weapon.
Good.
Yeah, very similar to that, like a pump style.
Let's take a look at this. Look at this. Look at a pump style water gun. Oh my word. What's next? What's next? Are we going to have I'm taken for words that these are in our streets right now. That these are in our streets. You know, the RCMP right now actively is trying to take your weapons, which I also seen another report. This had me howling, by the way. This had me howling. So right now, the Canadian government has invested $63 million into a buyback program for prohibited weapons. And guess how many they've received? You guessed it, 0. Isn't that wonderful? $63 million flushed down the toilet. 11.3 million of it, I believe, went to a external organization that they are not saying where that money went. Followed up by the next article that I read directly right after it, and it was right underneath that article that the RCMP allegedly have lost over 250 weapons. So right now, they're in a deficit. And if we know anything about a budget and, you know, how those things all work, it should balance itself out, right? If you lose 250 weapons and you gain 250 weapons, that should wipe the slate clear. Now, what is going on? What is happening? Are we aware of these problems? Isn't that is hilarious. They are trying to incentivize Canadians to hand in their weapons. Meanwhile, they're losing their own. What in the fucking Looney Tunes is going on here? I am having a difficult time wrapping my mind on how this country operates. You know, we want to sit here and the best part is we all love this right now. The comparison to America. In Canada, there is nothing each side loves to do is have some sort of comparison to America, for good or worse. You know, the left likes to scream, oh, well, they're using Trump-style politics. Whatever the fuck that is. And then the right wants to champion what they have for constitutional rights, you know, the right to bear arms and the freedom of speech aspect of mainly is like the First and Second Amendment that we truly look at as, well, not all of us. Some look at us as like look at that as pure evil, and others wish it was a part of our Charter of Human Rights here in Canada. You know, and rightfully so. If you believe in whatever the fuck it is you believe in, I think, why not? At this point, if the RCMP can't even fucking keep their shit together, meanwhile, they're pounding on your door, making sure that your weapons are locked up safe. Jimmy Fumbles had popcorn before he went out for the big bust. Had a Glock slip through his fingers like it's a bar of soap in a prison shower. And we're all supposed to whoop, 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 when the fucking Porky Pig is going on here. You imagine that? What do they do every time that they show up? You know how back in the Civil Wars, they would always have like brass playing, or they'd have a drummer of some sort. I believe that it is one officer's duty now to show up and start playing like that wonky music whenever like in a scene in Scooby-Doo when they're all running through the doors, and then all of a sudden, you know, Shaggy's chasing the bad guy, and then somehow it's changed around where the bad guys change it. They change positions and they're chasing Scooby, and it's all over the fucking map. And then that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when the RCMP shows up to investigate anything that's going on at this point. Fumbling weapons. On his own 20-yard line, fumbled a Glock, and now all of a sudden, God knows where it is. Unbelievable. But make sure. Now, this is where I agree with some of the folks out there that we need to put this woman in fucking prison about having water guns next door to somebody who feels a little bit unsafe around this type of, this type of machinery. God knows what it could do. It could accidentally water his flowers. Boy, oh boy, the last thing you want is a tulip getting a little extra water, before the season's end. What are we doing? Were you overgrown? You overwater my flowers. All of a sudden I get hit. I'm in the crosshairs, a little crossfire, and I got hit. I went down. I'm allergic to water. I only drink diet soda. What the fuck is this? This woman comes running around like she's Tony fucking Montana. Say hello to my little friend. Next thing you know, I am laid out on my driveway wondering what the hell just happened. Am I dying? Unbelievable.
Most days it's a harmless toy. But right now, a water gun is a major source of anxiety for 58-year-old Wendy Washik.
I've cried myself to sleep many nights.
According to Washik, she was visiting neighbors in a backyard and started playing with some of the kids.
And because I love kids and work with kids, I asked him if he had any water guns, and he said, yeah.
Washik says she was chasing one of the kids from the backyard to the front yard when the incident happened.
I was trying to figure out how the water gun was working. It's not like I play with water guns at this age.
Are you sure? So there we have it. There we have it. More reasons to hang her in public square. She doesn't even know how to handle a firearm, and you gave one to her? The neighbors should be in prison, too. The neighbors should be in prison, too. They should be cellmates, quite honestly, and they can talk about what they did. In fact, no, they shouldn't be cellmates. They can be solitary confinement neighbors is what they should be. We don't need them colluding with one another to create a story, because that's the last thing we need. We need these prisoners in jail. We take firearm safety very serious on this show, and you're just going to hand this woman a weapon? Unbelievable. The irresponsible nature of this person that decided to have a barbecue and let this psychopath run around the neighborhood with a loaded weapon like that, not even knowing how to handle it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's this country, folks. That's the country you live in. I could only imagine the people that don't understand my sarcasm right now.
And it accidentally hit the neighbor that was like maybe 3 feet away cutting his grass.
She says the man called police, who arrived and spoke with him, but she says police never talked to her.
Oh my God.
They had told my husband to bring your wife out of the backyard, that I'm being charged with assault with a weapon. They didn't ask me one single question. They didn't interview one single person.
Washik, who works as an educational assistant, says she has been put on leave by her school board.
And the mental
Christ.
and financial stress that has been put on my family, my children, and my husband.
Putin, I know you listen to this show. It's very popular, very, very, very popular. This show is one of the biggest shows that is ever produced, and on all social media platforms that host any video or audio. So share with your friends, right? And write a review. But Putin, if you're listening, I dare you, okay? I dare you. I double dog dare you. Come over here. That's what we got. We got teachers' assistants. Gatted up, okay? Gatted the fuck up. You don't want this smoke. Yeah? Send a drone over. Send a drone over, I dare you. See what happens. We'll shoot that fucking thing right out of the air with a Super Soaker 3000, because everybody here is gatted up, okay? We got an artillery you don't even know about. Yeah, sure, the RCMP is out there losing weapons left, right, and center, but I wouldn't even worry about those buffoons, those bumbling idiots. What are they doing? They're fucking charging women like this that clearly they don't care about gun safety. Come on over. I dare you. Hey, you know what? Bring your friend Xi Jinping while you're at it. You want a hardcore match? I got fucking Wendy over here who's itching to get the trigger finger busy. Okay? You seen what she did to a neighbor? You can only imagine what she would do to that so-called army that you have. That so-called army comes over here. They're getting lit up. They're going to get lit the fuck up. And the nice thing is, guess what? The police is on your side. So you got a little bit of home court advantage coming your way. But like I said, you might want to give them one of those wooden guns like they gave Will Ferrell on the other guys, because you're going to be down a few. They'll be sliding right out of their hands. You know how greasy those Tim Hortons sandwiches are nowadays, right? With the certain individuals that are making them, they get pretty loose with the sauce, and it starts dripping out the back end, and it gets all over your fingers. You know that Italian sauce that they put on the turkey bacon club, or at least they used to anyways. I don't know what they're doing now, but I remember that would just leak all over your hands. And you know Italians, they love some grease. So no wonder fucking shotguns are sliding right out of their hands, you know? It's like all those videos when Russians are drunk and they're shooting like a 12 gauge, and all of a sudden it's like bam, and the gun's just doing like 16 backflips 40 yards behind them. Holy hell. This is where we're at. This is where we're at, folks. It should be concerning that this is a news story, shouldn't it? It should be just a tad alarming. No? Am I the only one? Am I the only one that hears this? And like, I know we've sarcastically made fun of this news article now for about 10 minutes, right? But am I the only one that's listening to this and be like, we've completely lost our minds? You know, I don't wish any sort of war to hit the shores of Canada, but at some point you're like, maybe we're due. You know, maybe just a little bit. I'm tired of like, you know, the only conflict that we really have is like the pro-Palestine protesters outside of like some city hall yelling at, it's not even a city hall half the time. It's just like some street downtown Toronto screaming, yelling, holding up traffic, and you're like an hour late to a baby shower. Something you don't even want to go to, but you're angry that you're not there yet because, you know, the repercussions of being late is just like an ear beating from the old lady that you don't want to hear in the first place. And, you know, the ear beating is always worse than the actual event of itself. So you'd submit because, like, you know, you just want an easy life. You want a nice life. But here you are, stuck in traffic because, like, hey, ho. Like, oh, God, here we fucking go. Your phone's ringing off the hook. Where are you? Where are you? I'm stuck in traffic because a bunch of morons and lunatics decided to do arts and crafts and start screaming at fucking traffic. Well, why did you take that route? Because it said it was the fastest on Apple Maps. Oh, my God. Well, there you go. Listening to Apple Maps again. It said it was the fastest. I'm trying to get there as soon as possible. Well, you're already 45 minutes late. I know I am. I'm well aware of the time. I left with sufficient enough time to get to the party well before it started. And here I am, stuck in traffic because a bunch of fucking buffoons did arts and crafts and feel like they need to scream at something today. Scream in the pillow. Scream in the pillow. Do what we all used to do. You remember when you used to have an issue, you didn't go outside and start fucking yelling and screaming about it. In fact, the ones that did yell and scream about it got thrown in a padded room or a jail cell. Those were the good old days. You remember those days? Now, I'm a 90s kid, so I only briefly got to experience a small window of that. I know there's always been protests, right? But I don't think it got to the degree of insanity that we're looking at today, right? It was just a bunch of college kids smoking weed. Hey, man, we got to fucking figure this out. And then they went on to be capitalists. In fact, now they're, I think, probably the reason most of these wars are being fought. You know, there's financial incentive to be made here, folks. Get your money in the game. Knock it off. What are you doing? You're wasting money. You're wasting money. Invest. Don't you see these stocks and bonds that the Canadian government has put into place that you can make some money off of war for the first time? You, as a civilian, can invest in a war directly and make some goddamn money off of it. That's what we're here to do, aren't we? We want to retire young. Don't you want to buy your first house? You're not going to buy your first house putting hours into the streets. You know, how are you going to pay for that hair dye? That shit ain't free.
It's not right and is not
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's the part that kind of
fair.
Neighbors say they've had ongoing issues with the man who phoned police.
Lots of neighbors, police called on him, and they're constantly here.
It's been a reoccurring issue on the street of police being at his house for very, very minor issues.
Bobby and her son Liam say they crossed the
weird. I thought somebody that calls the police that frequently would be a person that is easy to deal with, you know. Oh, that's weird that this individual is the one that's hated by everybody around, you know. Oh, that's weird. That's odd, isn't it? You know, the joy when I was younger was when somebody was hated in the neighborhood, you just harass the shit out of them, you know? We used to play this game called Nicky Nicky Nine Doors, and I really enjoyed it. There was a grumpy, miserable old man always screaming and yelling at us, so we would torment the shit out of him. He threatened to kill me one time. He did. You know, we would wait until dusk. We'd start plotting and scheming on how we're going to ring this man's doorbell. And he knew every Friday, Saturday that we're going to ring the shit out of that. And the best we ever did was we hid one of my friends in the bush directly beside where his doorbell was. So he would ring the doorbell, hide in the bush, and then that old man would come out and be like, "Stop or I'll shoot you." And my friend had to stay there quietly. He would wait till the door closed, wait about a minute. Ding, 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 ding. And then that old man was sitting there at that door already, and he could not figure out what the hell was going on. Oh, my God. And we would just bust our guts laughing. That was the joy about it. That's what the kids got to do. You got to have kids that are a nuisance in the neighborhood. It's got to mellow you out. You got to remember when you were young. Now I got to be on the receiving end of the kids scheming and making fun of me. You know, I'm not that age. You know, I would love to be in the mix with them, but it would look a bit odd, wouldn't it? 33-year-old man. All right, kids, what we're going to do now is light the flaming bag of shit on fire, ring the doorbell, and we're going to bootleg it across the street and watch this person stomp it out. It's going to be hilarious. You just pass that information on to these children. Let them enjoy adolescence. You know, let them enjoy the innocence of being a child and doing wrong. That's the joy that we all strive for, isn't it? When we're that age, you just want to be a little bit of a pest. And of course, it's got to be the most miserable man on the planet. I want to charge this person with assault. They should bring back dueling. You know, I've been watching a lot of old westerns and whatnot, and to be able to challenge somebody to a gunfight in the street, I think is just, you know, I think it's fair. We could even we don't got to go to the degree of bullets. I think that's a bit extreme, but maybe like paintball guns. You should be able to have a quick draw duel with a paintball gun. No mask, just in case you hit that dummy in the eye. It would make you get better. And then like old eye patch Larry over there couldn't stand a water gun fight. Lost his eye.
Street just to avoid the man's home.
The friends are allowed to come to our house, but we no longer allow them to come to this house.
The neighbors we spoke with say they feel police are being weaponized against them.
I don't think it should be that way. I think our system's really messed up when it comes to that.
We all get along fine. We're not calling the police on our other neighbors. It's always the one individual who's calling the police out.
Weird.
According to Norfolk County OPP, they will not comment on specifics of this incident, but do say we are committed to maintaining high standards in our investigative work, regardless of how the public may perceive the allocation of resources.
Unbelievable. Yeah, OPP really doing the hard work. You know, Norfolk County, we applaud you for doing the hard work of ensuring that the streets are safe from water gun fights. My, oh my, you know, the OPP can ignore all the gunfights that are taking place in broad daylight throughout the mean streets of Hamilton, you know, the car thefts, but, you know, they'll make a press conference on telling you that you just need to keep your keys out on the front doorstep so that way thieves won't kick your front door down and possibly assault you for the keys to the Kia Sorento. You know, they want that Porsche Cayenne sitting in the driveway. So just leave the keys on the front doorstep. Because we got bigger and big, bigger is not even a word to describe the issues that we're dealing with. We have extreme issues that we need to deal with, and we cannot have some school resource fucking teacher running around with water guns in her hands, spraying the neighborhood kids and accidentally hitting a neighbor. What was that retard doing outside in the first place? I thought he hates everybody. What is he doing? Being nosy? You think he's just pissed off because he never gets invited to the barbecues? Maybe if he weren't such an asshole. The first time he came, this is how horror movies start. First time he came over, his dish he brought wasn't that great. He's not the best cook. His wife's deceased, I would assume, because he tormented her to death. And she thought suicide was a much better option than being married to this prick. And that's just a sad reality of some people's lives, They don't bring happiness and joy to their lovers. In fact, they bring misery and pain. And the only way to escape that misery and pain is swan diving off the largest bridge nearest to them, just to get away from them. The option of divorce isn't quite there because the legal system, it'll take years. This guy will fight it in court. You just want to leave and get your box pounded in the, in the jungles of Vietnam. But it's just not happening. It's just not happening. We all know that he will fight tooth and nail to not give you any alimony. You will not be able to survive. So what do? You stay. And as the years go on, your character is eroded due to the visceral nature of this individual. And finally, you have enough. And you drive over that one bridge every day and you look at it. And finally, you park. You look at how far down it is. And you think to yourself, maybe in the springtime when the river may be a little lower, or the fall, whenever the river's the lowest and all that rock is exposed. Because I don't want to accidentally, hit a high tide and all of a sudden what? I come out of this unscathed. All I got was a broken finger and a jammed toe. I don't want that. You don't want that. You got to get out of here. So you find that perfect day, and finally you look as you're driving, you start seeing that the water is it's lowered. Not just a little, a lot. And today is the day you get your divorce. And now this guy, all because his misery. Now he has to shed his internal pain on the rest of the neighborhood because the one person that he thought he loved has left him, has departed in such a gruesome manner. It couldn't have been just a simple breakup. No, she wanted to create as much pain as he's caused him. And this is the gruesome reality of this man's story. Holy shit. Very descriptive, isn't it? Very descriptive. But this is why I say learn to cook a decent dish to bring to the party. Then you'll get invited back. You'll have friends. You'll have joy. You can you can enter the water gun battle. You can be a part of it. But no. You just have to. You just had to be the human being that you are. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And speaking of, we have so many great stories to talk about here. Okay. Wonderful stories coming up. So recently, I don't know if you've seen this, but we're going to talk about it anyways. So recently, just outside on Parliament Hill, a heckler was, a heckler was recorded talking to, it would have been Jagmeet Singh. Jimmy was walking into, I believe, the House of Commons or leaving it. Either or, it does not matter. It's not a detail to the story that matters. What matters is he was heckled outside of Parliament Hill by an individual and turned around and confronted it. Now, this has sparked a lot of conversation throughout Canadian politics. Was he right? Was he wrong? Is he unhinged? Should he have kept it together? Should he have let those words slide? A lot of people are discussing this, okay? And now it's leading to many other discussions, like now maybe is the time that we are wanting to stand up for ourselves. You know, we're seeing violence spread out through the streets, vigilantism taking place in the Vancouver area. There was just a story that come out where an individual was trying to rob a corner store, and a citizen of the neighborhood decided to stop and went after the guy. So now we're seeing like this rise, and of all places, Vancouver, you would not expect it there. They kind of like put their head down. A lot of the folks are very blind. I remember being in Vancouver last year, and we were walking the streets. I believe I've talked about this story on here, but we were walking the streets. We were on Granville, walking down, and two women are walking towards me, and I can hear their conversation as they approach to cross the street as they're waiting for the light to change. And their conversation is talking about what city they want to move to in Alberta. And they're discussing this, right? They're like, I'd go to Calgary, but I don't know about that. Edmonton kind of seems disgusting and blah, blah. And meanwhile, they're so just departed from their own reality that exists in Vancouver, because I'm looking around and I'm seeing across the street is one person smoking crack. You can clearly see the pipe in his hand. There is other individuals that are wigging out all around them. Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't exist in Calgary and Edmonton, but like, what are we talking about here, ladies? You know, like, At what point do you shake your head and just start looking at the reality around you? You know, there are benefits probably to Calgary or Edmonton over Vancouver, and maybe there's benefits to living in Vancouver over those two cities. But I'm just saying, can we rub our eyes a little bit and take a look around to the actual surroundings that you are living in? Two guys behind me were discussing, this is one part that I left out of the story. They were, I was waiting for Sam. He went into the convenience store to grab something, and two individuals behind me are discussing how many knives they need to carry to feel safe. But meanwhile, these two fucking disillusioned broads, you know, these dizzy bitches are sitting here talking about like, oh, I don't know which one I'd rather go to because they're kind of trashy saddies if you really think about it. And it's like everywhere I've walked reeks like piss. I have yet to turn a corner where I smell a scent that is pleasant to my nose, that does not resemble piss, shit, blood, or vomit. What are we talking about? Are we existing in the same reality? Do I have the metaverse goggles on? Where am I? What am I doing? You know? But that's where something like this of like standing up, you know, I don't understand why more people aren't more like privy to like speak out. See, for years now, they've been saying, if you see something, say something. Well, I see some shit that I'm not really enjoying too much, but it has to be, that's the horrible part about being outspoken is it's like your thoughts and ideas, if they don't align with, you know, those who possess just an ounce of power, like we've seen in COVID times, is they were able to create this hysteria that we are supposed to police one another, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with that one bit. In fact, we should allow the military to kill these people. You shouldn't, like this guy, this neighbor, you know, what are you doing? Why are you calling the police? Call the military to come in and fucking kill this woman by fire squad for running around with a fucking water pistol, you know? During COVID times, we're all running around. We're policing one another. Let the military come in and get some practice before they send their weapons over to the Ukraine. Start a war with your own citizens. Why not? They're not going to have these weapons for much longer. Let them practice. Shoot some people. You didn't get the vaccine? Well, guess you got to die. Throw a hand grenade in their basement. I don't know. Enjoy yourself. Let the military have a little fun. Unbelievable. I can't believe that we weren't doing that. Anybody who's outspoken by any means should have been executed in the streets. Why are we not running this place like Russia? Why not? Why are we doing the beta version of it? Why not? Let's ramp it up a little bit. Bring some enjoyment to me. I'm tired of this being like, well, my feel. No. No. We are going to have Canadian Armed Forces soldiers out in the streets with M16s that are going to blow your top off if they don't see you lined up at the vaccine clinic this fall. You know, we only have 4 guns left because the rest of them are being destroyed by Russian drones. But hey, so we're going to have to share a little bit. Every province and major city will get their turn, and then we'll pass it around to smaller towns, and one designated Canadian Armed Forces officer will be, they will be boots on the ground monitoring, and they'll just put notes in their phone and be like, okay, well, when I get the gun, I'm going to need this many bullets because I got to shoot this many people. So that way you at least know when your death certificate is signed, you know? So you can enjoy life a little bit. You can ramp up the credit card. Hey, I've always wanted to buy a fucking inflatable duck that's the size of a car and put it in the river and just watch it float around. Hey, there you go. Now you know when you're going to die. You're going to die in 6 months when this officer has an M16 in his hand. Enjoy yourself. But instead, we got to have these what we consider civil discourse discussing on whether or not a politician standing up for himself over an insult being hurled at him in the streets. And it's not even a bad insult. We're going to watch the video right now so you guys can see for yourself. This is on Brian Lilly's page. He tweets, I don't fault Jagmeet Singh for what he did. He was restrained in my view. Not sure I would have handled it better. Might have clocked the guy calling me out like this. I disagree with Singh on everything, but good for him on what he did. See, that's a lot of Canadians, that are kind of like, yeah, good on him. But
corrupted bastard.
Corrupted bastard. So that was what's said.
Want to say something? What? You want to say something? You say nothing? What does it mean? That? You got something to say?
I didn't say corrupted bastard, but I said...
Is that what you said?
No, I did not say that.
Look at this coward.
Who said it?
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you?
No.
You sure? If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Was it you or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you? No. 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, I asked you if a confidence vote came up.
Oh, my God. Embarrassing, isn't it? Isn't that embarrassing? That's Leafs fans for you. Cowards. It's clearly this guy in the Leafs hat. There was a video that did surface that he's like, yeah, I fucking said it and blah, 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 and then acting tough as soon as he's not around. But as soon as he I cannot stand people that run their mouths. And this is on both sides, This is on both sides. Everybody wants to run their mouth, and then once they're confronted about the issue, it drives me mental. Like, if you're going to talk a little jazz, hey, let's tap dance a little. He clearly wanted some smoke. He's fired up lately. I don't know what's up. There's a bee in his bonnet. You know what I'm saying? That's not a racial joke either. The nice thing is nothing racial was said at all. Nothing racial at all was said towards Jimmy, which is good. You don't need that because the thing is then if it did turn racial, then this gives an opportunity for something like the NDP to leap on and be like, oh, look at this racism he called him a corrupted bastard, which I'm going to go out here and probably say that he is. What a bold stance to take, seeing as your brother is a lobbyist for, I believe, Loblaws. Oh, weird. Isn't that weird? There is some sort of connection between the grocery stores and Mr. Singh and his family members. I don't quite exactly remember what it is, but we do know that he is indeed a corrupted bastard. But the embarrassing part is right here. He turns around. He wants to confront this gentleman. Got something to say?
No.
Both of these guys cower. Okay? Both of them cower immediately. One guy's not even looking at him. The one guy in the corner here immediately looking down at his phone like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. No, I didn't say it. I didn't say it. This is what I mean. This is where it's gotten out of control in Canada, where maybe just like I don't want to see violence. I don't condone violence, but like, if you ask to square up with them, why not? Hey, look, you got your referee, you got your Herb Dean in the background there. The OPP is already ready to go. Jimmy here, I believe, is a jiu-jitsu master from what I'm reading on the internet. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu brown belt. So I make it a 2-on-1. Both of these chubby fucks, I don't think that they can throw. Maybe not. The one guy in the bandana looks like a woke version of that Sam off of Trailer Park Boys, that greasy bastard. He looks kind of like a woke version of it with the bandana on and the long hair coming out. I don't want to say woke version, but definitely like maybe he took a bath. Oh, no. And then at the end of it, tries to sneak in a question. I was just kind of wondering about the non-confidence. Yeah, he wants to talk to you, you dumbass. Shut up. But this is the problem that I have, like, with a lot of these morons that are just around in the streets screaming shit. The moment that they're confronted, they fold like a cheap tent. Why? You had your opportunity there. In fact, you made the conservative voter base look dumber by being a coward, where if you would have said, yes, I said it, and I meant it, you could have then got into a verbal disagreement, had Jimmy here lose his top, and then that shows that he's an unhinged politician trying to run for a prime minister position. It was the easiest political move to make him look like a lunatic. And you gave up. You abandoned it like a pussy. You know?
No, I did not say that.
Look at it.
Somebody behind me said that.
Was it me? Was it you? No. You sure?
Looking him dead in the eyes. Looking him dead in the eyes. This right here is the moment that you need to take and start engaging with him. You're just a civilian. This guy is a representative in the House of Commons, for Christ's sakes. If you get this guy to lose his nuts out in the middle of this goddamn street in a parking lot, do you think that looks good for his political campaign? Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But instead you cowered and you made him look like he's standing up to a bully. Because like this guy's going to do anything. Like this guy, do you think that this guy, this fat dumbass is going to do anything? Christ almighty, he looks like he sweats when he eats. He struggles to get out of a recliner. And I don't want to sit here and be like I'm pledging an allegiance to the NDP by any means. That's not what I'm doing here. I like the scenario that's created here, because then it led into a much bigger political discussion on whether or not this was justified, on how he reacted to what was said to him. And then by coming down on this individual, he then looks like he is stopping bullying. And he's using this and squeezing this lemon dry. All of his tweets, we all seen what the videos are. Now it's seeped into the House of Commons. And now it is quite interesting to see that he's telling Pierre, like, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Like we're going to turn the House of Commons into a UFC arena. Dana White is going to be in there next week, and it's going to be the Dana White Contender Series, for Christ's sakes. At the pace that we're going right now, this is just a weigh-in. This is just a weigh-in at this point. An old Leafs boy is a little bit overweight, so he's taking a pay cut, unfortunately. He's going to have to take a little bit of a pay cut. And I think, unless Jim, they might be same weight class. Jim looks a little thick. He looks a little thick. I'm going to put him at about 220. And Chubb's over here, so they're probably in the same weight class, 260. I'll peg that fat bastard at. They're saying about roughly same height. We got a pretty even fight here. We got low budget Roy Nelson taking on the taking on Allah Armbar. This is a fight of the century. We should have seen it right in the middle of the streets unfold, and then we could have turned it into a tag team match. I imagine this guy in the background here. We got some little dork that looks like a fucking, I don't know, one of those. Kind of looks like a gayer version of Nick Fuentes, if you know who that is. That little cuck that sits on the internet. Well, actually, I don't know. You know, one of them. Another one of those streamers. He looks like a gayer version of that. That fucking guy. And he could take on old Bandana, old Macho Man Tranny Savage in the background there with his polo tee. We got ourselves a good fight. And then, Jim can go into the House of Commons and get old Pierre revved up, and they can have themselves a little arm wrestling match. Why not? Let's make politics a little more interesting, you know? We're tired of listening to the shit that they say in there. We're tired of it. It's the same nonsense. Mr. Speaker. You know, you got Chrystia Freeland's scratchy ass voice every other fucking day popping up on your newsfeed. You know, it's similar to like her voice is like a Kamala Harris laugh. The frequency of it could, you know, explode glass and cause pigeons to fall out of the air. It's deeply disturbing that you have to allow that your cerebellum just rings after you hear that, you know? And we're tired of that. We're tired of like dismissing questions. Let's have them debate topics like, is squirt actually piss? You know, something interesting that can get the whole public behind it, because not everybody is interested in politics like most, like, you know, I've kind of hung up my hat when it comes to sports. I pay attention just a little bit, but I find this interesting because it's the exchange of words to like garner the public exception so they can be voted in, or, you know, you got all these lobbyists and the money moving around and who's getting rich, who's padding whose wallet. There's just so much going on that you can learn about. It's crazy. You know, so in a way it is like it's replacing this interest that I had in sports and where all this money is going. Like the fact that, yeah, we've got the transport minister that stepped down, Pablo Rodriguez, and Anita Anand is stepping in, where she made a ton of money. Well, her husband made a ton of money off the whole COVID scam that was going on. It's a lot going on. A lot of tax money just like popping around, moving around, and we're waiting for this pig to explode. So while we await this fucking financial bloating pig to just burst its guts all over the streets and rural communities of this once great nation, make it interesting. That's all we're asking. That's all we're asking. Like right here, Yag, sock that guy in the mouth. Let's make it sexy. You know, I understand that the optics of just punching a civilian in the head probably don't look that great, but let's talk about views, baby. Who gives a shit? You got a pension coming. Why do you care? You're not going to get voted into the prime minister's seat. You're not. Let's be honest. You're not polling that well. Punching a dude in the head, oh, that would do numbers for you. Why am I not a political advisor? What is that dork? Who is that dork and what does he do behind him? If it's me behind him, I'm egging him on. Hit him. Hit him. What's the worst that's going to happen? He called you a name. You know? Who cares? What? The court systems they're going to be against you? Do you think that they want that? Pablo Rodriguez, he got charged with a DUI. He's the fucking transport minister up until today. He was a DUI. The transport minister of Canada was drunk driving in 2010. What else? What else is going to happen, huh? Unbelievable. Why don't we make the minister of Islamophobia a fucking ISIS member while we're at it? Why not? Let's make this interesting. I'm tired of arguing about like, oh, well, let's do the right thing. No, let's double down on the wrong. What's so fun about doing the right thing anymore? You don't get rewarded. In fact, you're jailed if you do. You're scrutinized throughout the media if you do. You have organizations writing up slanderous pieces about you, so you might as well just do the wrong, because in turn, it is kind of right. You want to be a car thief? Fly out to fucking Mississauga. At least get a good car. You want to sexually assault women? Pfft, go ahead. The police aren't doing anything about it. In fact, it's on the rise. It's fashionable. It's sexy to do that. You want to rob somebody? Go ahead. The cops are too busy arresting women having water fights in a front yard. Go have some fun. It's a Motley Crue music video that you're missing out on. I'm not encouraging this type of behavior. I don't condone this type of behavior. I don't want to see this type of behavior. But what I'm being led to believe is that it's accepted to some degree, because the criminals aren't fucking being arrested. So you might as well enjoy yourself. Is it illegal? What you truly want to do? Who cares? Who cares? Be like this guy. Just scream obscene shit at politicians. What's going to happen? They're going to confront you? Then you possibly have to cower in front of them? That is truly embarrassing. Let's catch the ass end of this one more time. I like.
If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy.
If it was me, I'd admit it, buddy. Unbelievable. It was you. Why didn't you?
You or not? If it was me, I'd admit it. What'd you say then? I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. It was a gentleman behind me, I guess. Who is it then? Point it out. I have no idea who it was, buddy. My word. You sure it's not you?
This is the most Canadian exchange, just if you're just listening to the audio version of this podcast, that is the very Canadian that is the very Canadian dialogue that you would hear outside of like a local tavern before two guys are about to throw. If I said it, I would have told you, buddy. Well, then who said it then, bud? Oh, well, I don't know who did. It must have been the guy behind me. Well, I don't know who said it. Well, was it you? Well, I don't know, bud. Well, you better tell me. Yeah, because you're a coward.
You? No, 100%. You're a coward. You're not going to say it to my face. That's what's up. Say
That's what's up. That's what's up.
what? If I said something like that to you, I'd admit it. All right.
Now, I asked you if a confidence vote came.
This is hilarious. Now, this guy slides in. Now, I asked you. He gives him the, no, beat it, nerd. You had your opportunity. You could have called him a coward. Look at how many things, right? Like he was alleging that he's is not going to support the Liberals anymore, right? He came out publicly and said that. And now that was then Pierre's political move then to put the pawns in place to try and force a non-confidence. And that was to push old Jim, to then go against him, where now I'd imagine his approval rating has spiked, seeing as he stood up to these guys because he was out in the streets doing it. This is something that Trudy doesn't exactly have in his court right now. So I'd imagine like this has persuaded a lot of liberal voters that see him as like a kind of like he'll stand up against this type of stuff, because the optics of it are exactly what you're looking for as a liberal voter. Is you need somebody that wants to stand against what you deem is what these people deem these convoy type folks that are constantly outside of Parliament Hill yelling whatever they're yelling, right? Like they're racist. You're standing up to a racist, a fascist, a neo-Nazi, a fucking, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. That's what a lot of Lib voters are interested. Their mind then starts seeing this. And this was a perfect opportunity for, Yag to step up. He did it. You have to hand it to him. He handled it quite well. I'm not going to sit here and slight the man because, he stood up to these guys. And whether I like these fellas or not, it doesn't matter. This is exactly what went down. I know I am rambling today. I'm full of energy. I feel good. I feel great. My mind is clear. I got over the sickness, I got over a cold, not COVID. But this is exactly, I think, what the liberal voting base is looking for through Trudeau. So I think he's probably scooped some pawns into, scooped some percentages in his approval rating from many constituents across the country. Very interesting stuff of what's going on here. Well, folks, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Uncle Hack podcast. We had a wonderful time today. If you are interested, like I said, head on over to patreon.com/dangercat69. Support the channel, please. And thank you. Support the podcast by doing so. You can buy for as little as a beer a month. You can support a dumbass podcaster like myself. I encourage you to leave a review on Apple iTunes if you do, rate it on Spotify, and if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below on who you think won that exchange. Toronto Maple Leafs guy. Actually, who would win an arm wrestle? Pierre Poilievre or Yagmeet Singh? Leave it down in the description down below. I know we don't really care for political parties that too much on this podcast, but let's have some fun with it. You know, I've been too negative lately. I gotta find the spark. I gotta find the light. I gotta have some fun with this type of stuff because it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere soon. So once again, thank you again, patreon.com/dangercat69 for all upcoming stand-up dates. Please be sure to check out dangercatshop.com, and we'll see you next week, Thursday at 3 p.m. We will be back on our standard times, and hopefully see some of you out at the Comox and Victoria show next week. Good night, everybody.